Happy Tuesday, Northeast Ohio. Thank you so much for choosing What's New on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Betsy Kling, broadcasting from home. Let me clarify right out of the gate. We have had no positive COVID tests in my house or with my family, and we want to keep it that way. So I'll be working from home for the rest of the week ahead of the big holiday. My partner, Jay Crawford, holding down the fort back at the WKYC studios. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Bets. Very good to see you. A good Tuesday to you. I am very thankful that everyone in your home is healthy and safe. Thank you, by the way, for spending time with us on What's New. I hope everyone is well and safe as we are now just 4 days from Christmas. It's on us.
Can't believe it. Yeah.
Betsy, we begin today with another sobering reminder that we are currently in the worst outbreak of the entire COVID era here in the state of Ohio. And this really 2-year nightmare continues. Today's number of new coronavirus cases, if you're not paying attention, listen to this, is now a startling 12,502 new cases. That is the single biggest 24-hour number we have seen throughout this pandemic. Also, our most recent positivity rate, 23.8% by far. That is the highest positivity rate for a single day since tests have become more readily available. Then there's the issue of hospitalizations. The state reporting one of our highest single-day numbers of new hospitalizations, 584 new COVID-19 patients across Ohio hospitals. Although it is important to point out that the number of current patients in Ohio hospitals only went up by 4. It now sits at 4,797.
Well, we have crossed over into new territory, but it feels a little bit like a COVID deja vu today. So we have team coverage for you tonight to break it all down. Mark Namick will lay out the president's plan to get at-home tests to American homes. Emma Henderson spoke with hospital leaders about their plea to Ohioans to get vaccinated. And Isabel Lawrence talked with experts about the rise in kids being admitted to the hospital with COVID.
But first, our Brandon Simmons live at the Drive-thru clinic in Cleveland, where crews today stopped accepting patients early this afternoon. Brandon, folks had to reserve a spot. How did this happen so quickly?
I know that's a very good question. We asked that question to officials. However, they didn't give us a definitive answer, only saying that they reached capacity and did have to turn some people away. Now, remember, it was just yesterday we talked about how difficult it was to schedule testing at area pharmacies, how hard it was to find those at-home test kits. And this was supposed to be a venue that provided some relief to that. However, it quickly became a mess right here in University Circle. I want to show you some of the video earlier. There were lines of cars on nearby streets really just waiting to get to the testing site here at the W.O. Walker building, where the Ohio Department of Health and National Guard were set up to conduct testing. But after just a few hours, as you said, the line was closed down and people were told they were at capacity and needed to come back another day. But here's where it gets really strange. Around 3 p.m., the line reopened to more cars after turning those people away because the line had died down too much. Really a bad situation for some of the people who had waited hours already and were turned away earlier in the afternoon. So I spoke to some people about why they were here to get tested, and we also heard from state officials about the importance of having a mass testing site open.
Oh, good, because there's no more appointments. The next available appointment, like at a Rite Aid or local CVS, is not till next week or the week after. So we just want to get tested so we can be around our family for the holiday.
These patients who are waiting in line today in the drive-thru were the patients that were taking up spots in our emergency room and our urgent cares, taking away the time that our doctors could focus on patients who were sick or requiring admission.
And I do want to point out that young lady I spoke to, she said she didn't feel any symptoms. They were just doing this as a precaution. That's why they were here in line. Now, even though people were turned away, I'm told the test site really did help relieve some of the strain on our healthcare systems that we were facing from so many people looking for tests. Obviously, there were clearly some issues here on the first day, but hopefully things do improve in the coming days. Now, in the meantime, people are being told to register for the event again tomorrow. They say that they also want people to look toward their pharmacies or go to more rural areas to see if there are openings there to find COVID tests, because they do expect long lines again. And also there are talks of opening additional sites like this on the east and west sides of town to help relieve some of the strain that we saw here today. Hopefully, Jay, these are just growing pains and things get better from here.
on one hand, it's good that so many people are interested in testing. It means that there is a general concern about either getting or transmitting this virus. On the other hand, the PCR tests we know are more complicated. What's the likelihood that those that test today or tomorrow, let's say, will even know the results of those tests before they gather with family for Christmas?
Right. So here's what we're told. We're told 48 to 72 hours for these PCR test results. Obviously, this testing site is being backed by our local healthcare systems who have laboratories on site. So they're saying 2 to 3 days. However, considering the number of people we saw here, there could be a backlog in those labs. I wouldn't count on it. I would say you want to try to find some of those antigen tests, those rapid tests, because you never know if these results will get back in time for the holiday. However, they are saying 2 to 3 days, Jay.
All right, understandable. The one thing that I would love to see a line for, vaccinations. We haven't seen that in a while.
Vaccines.
Hopefully the vaccine line will become a new thing once again. Brandon Simmons live tonight on What's New. Brandon, thanks.
Well, we mentioned the antigen tests, and President Joe Biden today outlined plans to battle the fast-spreading Omicron variant that is driving the country's large spike in COVID-19 infections. But as Mark Namick reports, the president's efforts won't bring immediate relief to the millions of Americans who are seeking COVID tests right ahead of the holidays.
Good afternoon.
In the next phase of the fight against COVID-19, the Biden administration will send 500 million rapid tests to people who request them, set up more testing and vaccination clinics, and deploy 1,000 military members to hospitals where staff is stretched thin from a flood of COVID patients.
This is a critical moment. We also have more tools than we've ever had before. We're ready. We'll get through this.
The move comes as the Omicron variant supplants Delta as the majority of new cases in the U.S. Mayors reinstate mask mandates, pro sports leagues postpone games, and cities reconsider New Year's Eve celebrations. The nation now with its first known death from Omicron, an unvaccinated man in Texas. As people prepare to travel for the holidays, they're waiting hours in places like Miami and New York to get tested.
It's been frustrating, to say the least.
The president with a warning for people who won't get vaccinated.
If you're not fully vaccinated, you have good reason to be concerned. Almost everyone who has died from COVID-19 in the past many months has been unvaccinated. Unvaccinated.
A look at the latest CDC statistics. In the unvaccinated, there are 6 COVID deaths per 100,000 people. For the vaccinated, that drops considerably to 0.5 deaths. Among those boosted, just 0.1 deaths per 100,000.
It is extraordinarily important for people to be vaccinated, and if you are eligible for a boost, to get boosted.
A plan is in place. Americans brace for the worst of the Omicron wave.
The president said the government hopes to begin sending Americans at-home test kits in January. So those hoping to get tested, Betsy, before the holidays will have to keep checking store shelves and get in line at free testing sites early and register ahead of time. And as we saw today in Cleveland, the demand for those tests is huge and the supplies go fast.
Yeah, you can't find them anywhere right now, seemingly. Well, Mark, did the president address why tests are in such short supply, given how much the administration has talked up its efforts to prepare for COVID?
Yeah, that was the very question that many reporters shouted during the press conference. The president a bit defensive, saying that no one could anticipate how fast Omicron spread, and therefore they wouldn't have been able to have the tests anyway. But he said they are on their way in January. But we've heard this before. We'll see how quickly they can get out. And remember that people will have to register online for those tests to get them sent to their homes. And they're going to need millions every month. Betsy?
Certainly a big process still to be determined. All right, Mark, thanks so much for the information. Well, we've given you a couple pieces of information here. The positivity rate and the ERs are overwhelmed right now. Well, 30 to 50% of people getting tested at Cleveland hospitals are testing positive for COVID. Now, to put that in perspective, 10% or more is considered the red zone here in Ohio. This is overwhelming the hospitals and the healthcare workers who've been fighting this virus for 22 months. Well, today, the major health systems in Northeast Ohio held a rare joint press conference. Our Emma Henderson breaks down their message. And Emma, I imagine that message is much like that full-page ad that they put in the paper, simply help.
Very similar, Betsy. The message: they are burnt out, they are tired. People are leaving the bedside because they can't take what they're seeing anymore. But through it all, there has also been a great amount of teamwork. Right now, local nurses are dealing with higher ratios, meaning they're responsible for taking care of more patients at once. The hospitals are also having trouble with having enough support staff, the people who cook and feed patients or draw bloods for labs, meaning even more responsibilities falling on the nurses in our COVID units. On top of that, with the sickest patients, it can take 5 or 6 people to move them around to help them breathe better. So doing that multiple times a day takes an additional physical toll.
You know, from the very beginning, we knew this is going to be a long haul. We told our teams, I was telling my teams every day that this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. But this has now turned out to be multiple marathons. We are our 5th or 6th marathon now, and there's no end in sight.
No end in sight. He says it breaks his heart constantly because he's having to put people on a breathing machine when he feels like it could be prevented if they were vaccinated. Now, with this physical and mental exhaustion, healthcare workers are finding different alternatives for jobs, some taking them right back to the bedside in a different capacity. I'll have that for you coming up at 6. Betsy?
Yeah, I think back to spring of 2020, right as the pandemic was really getting going. And boy, there was so much outpouring of love and gratitude for all of our healthcare workers. I think maybe we need to bring that back a little bit. So
absolutely,
something to consider as we head into the holidays. Thanks, Emma. Jay?
Well, if you're a patient at the Cleveland Clinic, you probably received an email from them early this morning. I want to read you a portion of that email because it is very powerful. It's something we all should hear and read. It reads in part, "Today, we come to you with a plea. Get vaccinated, please. Whether you're due for your booster shot, undecided about getting your child vaccinated, or have been leery of the vaccine all along, the science is clear. Vaccines save lives. Please get vaccinated." The email went on to say, "For those of you who've lost a loved one to COVID-19 this year, we extend our deepest sympathies. We feel your loss. We share your grief. We too are heartbroken. The only way we can get through this," the email continued, "is together. Please do your part for yourself, your family, your community. Get vaccinated, wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay home if you're feeling ill." We have the full email on WKYC.com. I recommend everybody read it. It is very powerful. And Betsy, first of all, I read that early this morning, and I felt very strongly, very, very strongly, that this is too important not to share with our viewers. It is very powerful. Secondly, I've heard many people in the last few days, some close friends of mine, point to the recent outbreak of cases, breakthrough cases, in many instances, as evidence that the vaccines are not working. And while that is true, we are seeing more breakthrough cases, particularly with this Omicron variant, than we have at any time during this vaccine. The vaccines are in fact working. In the 10-day stretch ending last Friday, our state saw just over 1,000 COVID deaths in a 10-day stretch. It's more than 100 deaths per day. The vast majority of them, in the high 90 percentile, were unvaccinated. A big part of the reason for the vaccines, Betsy, we know this, was to save lives. They're doing that. And that is not in dispute. It is not in dispute. Are people getting the virus after they've had the vaccine? Yes, they are. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this was ever promised to be 100% effective in keeping people from getting the virus. But what we are seeing in indisputable and overwhelming numbers is that our hospitals are filled with unvaccinated, and those that are dying are not in the high 90 percentile, also unvaccinated.
Yeah, and I think we should go back, a year ago when Monica was reporting about the development of the vaccine. And throughout that whole time, it was, this thing is not bulletproof. This will not keep you from getting COVID. It will keep you from being hospitalized. It totally puts the deck in your favor. If you're a gambler, there is never a time when the house doesn't have as much of an advantage. This is your chance. This is definitely something to take advantage of, and you will be able to have a much better outcome. At least the numbers are on your side to have a much better outcome than if you didn't, certainly. And Jay, we've been talking about the hospitals are really the ones that are under the strain with the weight of this surge. And it's pediatric units, actually, that are caring for more kids now with COVID. Isabel Lawrence spoke with pediatricians today who told her we need to do all we can to protect our kids.
Yeah, that we do, Betsy. I spoke with a doctor here at UH Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital, and she told me it still just tears her heart out every time she sees kids suffering in the hospital. She is begging parents to get their children vaccinated, and if those kids are too young to get vaccinated, she's asking those parents and families to get vaccinated to protect them. So that doctor I spoke to, Dr. Amy Edwards, says that there is a combination of factors into why they are seeing more kids with COVID here. Schools lifting mask mandates, plus Omicron and Delta have contributed to more kids in the hospital with COVID. Another doctor said they have 10 to even 15 times the number of children admitted to the hospital with COVID than this summer, depending on the day. But oftentimes, it's the people closest to these young patients who are actually giving them the virus.
Certainly with Omicron and even with Delta, we did see a lot more school transmission than we used to see with COVID. And with Omicron, that's only going to get worse. But it's still true that the vast majority of pediatric COVID comes from adult or teenage family members. And so if those adults and teenagers are vaccinated, then that helps protect those unvaccinated 1 and 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds.
And it's not just about acute COVID, it's about long-haul COVID in kids, too. Another doctor at UH here said their long COVID clinic for kids is filled through February. Now, something else that's interesting here, it's a good point. Pediatrics is such a specialized type of medicine that if kids need care, you can't just bring them to another part of the hospital where adults are treated to get that care. They need to be in the pediatrics unit. They need to have access to those pediatricians. So, Betsy, what it really comes down to here is if these pediatrics resources are taken up by kids with COVID, then what happens to the other kids who come in and they need care too?
Yeah, it's a scary situation, certainly, and hopefully folks will do what they need to do to help protect their kids. Isabel, thank you for that. Well, still to come for us here on What's New, we are tracking our Christmas week forecast. Question is, and you probably already know the answer, our chances of a white Christmas versus a brown Christmas. Or is it a white Christmas versus Browns playoffs? We have all the numbers coming up, well, so to speak. Actually, as far as the forecast this evening goes, it's our nice winter evening. It is officially winter right now. Temperatures in the 40s currently will drop back into the 30s with clouds rolling in. Jay?
Then, calling all Harry Potter fans, we finally are getting a sneak peek at what you can expect to hear and see during that much anticipated cast reunion next week.
Well, it is the first evening of winter 2021-22, and I'll tell you what, it's not feeling very wintry out there. As a matter of fact, we have a beautiful evening on tap. Right now, we are still mostly clear. Temperatures in the 40s. We'll find the mercury sliding back into the 30s as we go through the evening. You can see we'll be in the mid and upper 30s as those clouds begin to roll in as we go through the rest of the evening. Radar sweep is clear, and I mentioned the temperatures are on the warm side, upper 30s, low 40s currently. The south wind is a big key as to how our forecast is going to be going. We have a cold front that is coming in. Right now, though, the clouds aren't even here yet. The clouds are just off to the north of us. You can see that line that stretches from just north of Detroit all the way back through central Illinois. That's the cold front. Once that front passes through, and it may kick up a few flurries as it does so, then we'll start to usher in colder air, and it will be quite a gut punch as we go into the day tomorrow. It's definitely going to feel a little bit more wintry. Let's go hour by hour in your National Design Mart forecast. There's the front, comes through as we go through the latter part of the evening toward the midnight hour, and you can see temperatures still in the mid and upper 30s. A little flurry mix is possible here. Then we could get into a short period where we have some lake effect snow that swings through. It's going to be light and kind of flurry-ific as we start the day tomorrow. By midday, then, we should start to break out into sunshine, but look at those noon temps. We're only in the 20s, so you'll see a 33 on the 7-day forecast, but that actually is going to happen before dawn, and then we're going to hang out in the 20s through the entirety of the day tomorrow, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be warming up too quickly after that. I'm going to hit a button over here, and we're going to go to your Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast. There you see it. Temperatures jumping into the upper 30s to around 40 by Thursday with cloudy skies. Friday, we have rain moving in late. Doesn't look like we have any snow issues for Christmas. No, Rudolph's red nose will be needed for rain showers. Temperatures right around 50 degrees on Christmas Day. We'll be back into the 40s on Sunday for the start of Kwanzaa. Little rain-snow mix possible as we head into next week. Pop break is next.
Hey Al, how are you? We're just talking about Pop Break and Harry Potter and the desk is so far away.
It's pop break time with our girl, Kara Cotton. Kara, you have some more bad news about one of the Sex and the City stars.
I certainly do, Jay. The blows just keep coming for actor Chris Noth. A third woman has come forward accusing Noth of sexual assault, and now he's down another gig. The 67-year-old has been fired from the CBS drama The Equalizer, effective immediately. Noth, who was previously starred as Mr. Big in the Sex and the City franchise, has called the allegations categorically false. His former co-stars, Sarah Jessica Parker, Cynthia Nixon, and Kristen Davis, all released a joint statement yesterday saying they are deeply saddened to hear of the allegations, but support and commend the women who came forward. And it's time to go back to where the magic began. The first official trailer for the Harry Potter 20th anniversary has officially been released, and it's filled with nostalgia. Through in-depth interviews and cast conversations, the special invites fans back into the magic and adventures of the beloved franchise that first premiered back in 2001. Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, and Daniel Radcliffe are all smiles as they sit across from one another in the Gryffindor common room and reflect on the legacy they built together. The Harry Potter 20th anniversary special, Return to Hogwarts, will premiere on HBO Max New Year's Day. So Jay, this reunion will definitely give Potterheads something to look forward to in the new year.
No, they've all been talking about it. Key, thank you.
Sure thing.
Well, coming up for us in the next half hour of What's New, Jimmy Donovan is on set to talk about yesterday's heartbreaking loss for the Browns and what it means for the rest of the season. Then if you tested positive with an at-home test for COVID, you can report it to the Cuyahoga County folks. Our Stephanie Haney will explain how. And Jay is checking things off the Cleveland bucket list. Yep, there is such a thing. He talks to the creator and visits a very festive pop-up bar.
Going here.
Right at the X by the TV.
Yes, hello. Hi, Al. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
She used to be a DJ. Oh, I don't think.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
First at 5:30, we have three things you need to know. Today, more than 12,000 Ohioans tested positive for COVID-19. This is our highest daily count since the pandemic began. This comes as local leaders opened a drive-thru test site at University Circle today. The Ohio Department of Health and the Ohio National Guard had to turn people away because so many showed up. It started at 9 this morning, and by noon they had to cut people off to make sure they ended at 5 o'clock like originally scheduled. The Cleveland Clinic and University Hospitals are helping with the event. It will reopen tomorrow morning at 9. Just be sure to register before heading to Walker Center and University Circle. We have information on how you can register at WKYC.com.
Betsy, late this afternoon, President Joe Biden announcing his plan to make COVID testing available to more Americans. He says that the White House will distribute 500 million at-home rapid tests for free to anyone who requests them. He also said his team will set up more testing sites and vaccination clinics, as well as deploy 1,000 military members to hospitals where staff members are becoming exhausted. The moves come as the Omicron variant supplants Delta as the majority of new cases in the U.S. The numbers are pretty startling. Now Omicron is responsible for more than 73% of all new cases in the United States. Last week, that number was just 12%.
Oh my gosh, it seems like we just heard about the first case in the United States. Well, as COVID patients continue to fill up hospital beds, local officials are begging Ohioans to do their part. Health officials told us today that 30 to 50% of people who are getting tested at Cleveland hospitals are positive. Right now, 4,797 patients are in the hospital across the state. More than 1,200 are in the ICU. Healthcare workers say they are burned out, and they are pleading with Ohioans to please get vaccinated. Certainly, our gratitude goes out to them. They have really been in this for a long time. With that, we welcome you back to What's New Right Now. I'm Betsy Kling, broadcasting from home. I know my picture looks very bright. We're working on that. We're pushing all kinds of buttons and changing dials and all kinds of stuff right now. It's always a work in progress. They brought me a new studio camera, Jay, and it's much fancier than the phone that I was using before. So we're working on it, I promise.
I don't know. To me, the phone looked pretty good. I know there's so many settings on the cameras because I used one at home for a while, too. And you really need a PhD in technology to run those things. And I don't have one. And I know you don't either. OK, Bets, I'm honestly, I am still reeling from that Browns loss last night. They're all tough, but this one was, for me, one of the toughest to take because the odds were so stacked against them. And if they pick up just one first down on that last possession, they're in first place of the AFC North. Instead, they're in dead last. Wow.
It was brutal. And then to come down to just one kick, and then they had to do it over again. I mean, I was like blowing at the TV, like hoping a gust of wind would come through.
Gut-wrenching.
It's awful.
Gut-wrenching. And that, by the way, is our top talker here at 5:30. Our Browns' heartbreaking loss at First Energy Stadium last night. I know it hurt if you were watching. Listen to this.
Snap a little high. Ball on the way. Kick on the way. And the kick is good. And the Raiders win it in the last second. And the Browns lose an absolute heartbreaker with an incredible effort. As undermanned as they were, and they're beaten at the buzzer. 16-14 Raiders.
There you go. So now the end result is they're 7-7. There is still a path to the playoffs, by the way, which is remarkable. Voice of the Browns, Jimmy Donovan, here now. Jim, by the way, I want to commend you. I listened to your call on my drive home for the last 5 minutes of that football game. And I know I'm going to embarrass you when I say this. No one better at play-by-play of a sporting event than you, my friend. I'm thrilled to call you a colleague. I don't mean to embarrass you, but it was like I was there. But Jimmy, the big talk today was the gutsy effort of that team, stacked odds higher than you can imagine, and also the play calling. I'm sorry, but that last series, Jimmy, wow.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And I think a lot of people, me included, I want Nick Chubb to be a part of it. But on third down, I think it's in particular the 3rd and 4 play to get that first down. And they had run Chubb twice, and there was no mystery. The Raiders were all up on the line of scrimmage. They're going to take Nick Chubb away, and the Browns decided to give him one more chance. J.C. Treader, the center, got blown up on the play by Jonathan Hankins. He got in there, and Chubb actually lost a yard on the play. You know, the other option was to let Mullins throw it, and at that point, he had found a rhythm, and in particular, to let him maybe get outside of the pocket and bootleg one out, but they opted not to do that. Mike Prefer sitting in there, and the Browns mounted a great comeback. And so they come all the way back right here, tie the game up, and take the lead. With 3:45 to play, the touchdown pass on 4th down. Mullins to Harrison Bryant. And then the Browns come back and give the ball to Nick Chubb on 3 consecutive handoffs. 1 first down away from icing the game. Really, the Raiders wouldn't have got the ball back because they were out of timeouts. The only stoppage would have come at the 2-minute warning, and then it was Derek Carr getting the ball back and moving down the field. That pass to Zay Jones. They got it down to 3 seconds. They spiked the ball, allowing Daniel Carlson to kick his 3rd field goal of the game from 48 yards away after they had iced him on the first kick, which he made, and then he had to do it again, and he nailed it right down the middle. As heartbreaking a loss as I think we've all ever seen the Browns in the new era of the Browns have. And here is Kevin Stefanski today.
That's what you do, win, lose, or draw. You just have to. You have to own it. You got to learn from it. But then you really have to move on. And you know, we'll talk about it when we get back together. But even after those wins, you got to flush those things because it's just these things come at you fast and furious.
All right, here's the AFC playoff picture, and it's not pretty right now. Imagine they were 3 seconds away. Jay alluded to this from being at the top of the AFC North and a clear path to the playoffs. And this Saturday's game with Green Bay really wouldn't have hurt them a great deal if they had lost it. But now they have to win out. They must win out. Those are the playoff teams right now. And then the Browns are clustered in another bunch. The Ravens at 8-6, the Steelers at 7-6-1. And then the Browns are in there with the Raiders and the Dolphins and the Broncos. They are all 7-7. Now, the Browns may get some people back, hopefully. And, of course, on the other side, they could still lose some people due to the COVID-19 protocols. They should have their head coach back. Even if he continues to test positive, the time elapse at 10 days would put him and also quarterback Baker Mayfield with the ability to fly to Green Bay on Saturday morning, game day. Imagine that, on a private flight, get them to Lambeau Field, and they would be eligible to play. They would get players, Jay, like Jarvis Landry, Malik McDowell, maybe Jed Wills back on Friday. The 10 days would elapse for them on Friday. But they would like to be clear and get some practice in with those guys before they go to Green Bay. Suffice to say, the Browns have a short week, and maybe that's a good thing to get that heartbreaking loss out of their system. But they're going to get the best performance they can get from Green Bay on Saturday because the Packers are sitting in that #1 seed in the NFC, which would mean a bye in the opening round of the playoffs and then home games at Lambeau Field, and that's what they want. So they're going to play to that, and Aaron Rodgers is red hot right now, and they are 11-3. So there is a path, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, you're telling me there's a chance. According to the website 538.com, 15% chance. Boy, those odds of making the playoffs would have been astronomically higher had they just won. I feel like there's a cloud over this organization, right. Murphy's cloud, if you will. It won't budge, and this has been a year filled with one drama after another. Right. In spite of all of that, if they win their last 3 games, there's a pretty good chance.
Yeah, and
that's all you can ask for.
And that would really be something if they, I mean, if they're able to pull this one off Saturday, it would really be something. But remember, they would have to go to Heinz Field on Monday night, play the Steelers in what could be Big Ben's last home game at Heinz Field as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers and maybe in his NFL career. If they could get by that, then, wow, all the chips could be on the table for the final game against Cincinnati, and that would be here.
That's all you'd ask for. Yeah. It really is. Jimmy, great stuff. We'll see you with more at 6.
Thank you, Jay.
Betts?
Well, have you heard of the Cleveland bucket list? It actually does exist. And guess who got to catch up with it? Yeah, Jay, catching up with the creator and checking out Holiday Pop-Up Bar. Then, with so many people testing positive for COVID with at-home tests, it's important to report your results. Our Stephanie Haney will show everybody how to make sure your results are being counted. And of course, as far as the forecast goes, it's a great night to get in, maybe light a fire in the fireplace and enjoy. But look at that sunset. Wow, first sunset of winter 2021-22. We'll take a look at the first week of winter 2021-22 straight ahead.
Okay, here it is right now, today's beautiful lights display. It comes from Tom and Diane Caper in Sheffield. Their house is beautifully decorated. You can see they've got a lot of the white colored bulbs, but they also have a nice mix of colored bulbs. I think that's the way to go. You want some white, but you got to mix in some color too. We want to see your Christmas lights, whether they're white or colored lights. Just send your pictures and videos to us here at WKYC. Use that WKYC app. It's very easy and self-explanatory.
We are funneling all of the electricity within a 5 square mile grid of my home into my living room with these television lights that we have going on in here. So we're basically very dim on the outside, but very bright on the inside. And certainly this is the great time of year to be able to get those lights out and get to see things. Our darkest days of the year happening right now, but today's a big day. I'm not kidding. Somebody is knocking at the door, but I can't answer it right now. Paul, somebody's knocking at the door. Let's get to weather. I don't even know. Okay, anyway, temperatures right now are in the 30s with clouds in place. Might be a nice night to light a fire in the fireplace. I got our fireplace on right here, but boy, I thank goodness there's no heat off of these lights, or else I'd be in big toasty trouble. Anyway, right around 40 degrees right now with that southerly breeze blowing in ahead of a cold front. That cold front is going to mean much colder air for us for tomorrow. Still clear at this point, but the clouds are going to be moving in, and those clouds are right along that front that is just to the north of us, and there are some snow showers on the back side of that. We may see some of those snow showers popping as the front moves through later tonight, and it does look like then beyond that we have more rain chances that start to sneak into the forecast. Here is a look at the big picture. You can see the snow chances moving through with the front this evening, and then overnight tonight as that cold air moves in, we may end up having a little lake effect snow that lingers into the start of the day tomorrow. Then for Thursday, look at this. We have a little system out to the west of us. This is a clipper, but it looks like it is probably going to miss a big chunk of us as far as the heavier snow goes. So I think all that stays north, and we may end up just with some flurries. Is it the Amazon guy? It's probably the Amazon guy. He's been here a lot. Anywho, we do have a lot of cloud cover in play for Christmas Eve in the morning, but by Christmas Eve evening, maybe headed out for services and whatnot, we are going to have some rain that moves in. That rain, my friends, sticking around for Christmas Day, unfortunately. So it looks like a green Christmas for us this year. Here is your National Design Mart temperatures for the day tomorrow. We're going to be in the 20s for the day. Maybe 30s pre-dawn, but we're going to drop back into the 20s, and it's going to be breezy. Here's your Union Home Mortgage forecast for the entire week ahead. Nice warming trend as we head toward the holiday. Remember, this is the time of year we're allowed to be festive, and then we'll settle back into more seasonable temperatures. A little rain snow mix possible on Monday as we head into next week, Jay.
Wow, just wow. 50 degrees on Christmas Day. Don't see that often. All right, Betsy, we've all had this happen before. You're trying to make plans, you've got friends or family coming to town, and they all want to look to you as the entertainment czar. You're stumped, though. What do you tell them to do? Well, we've got the perfect solution for you. It's actually called the Cleveland Bucket List. Here's what it has to offer and how you can check it out for yourself.
And I realized that there was no one really showcasing what it was like to go out around Cleveland and be a part of all of that.
Haley Mills grew up in Cleveland, moved away for college, then she came back to Northeast Ohio with a new perspective and a new idea.
And then one day I just decided that there was no cost to posting on Instagram, so why not start it myself and kind of see what I could do with it.
It started with Mills posting pictures to Instagram and quickly morphed into something bigger. A website where folks could go to find stuff to do, places to go, and things to see, all right here in our own backyard. It includes special events, locations to explore, and restaurants, to name just a few.
So I say that the bucket list is really honestly geared towards locals and people that are coming to visit at the same time, because there's going to be plenty of those things that you have to see in Cleveland, but there's also a lot of stuff that you're not going to know about.
There's even a section of stuff to do right now during the holiday season, from indoor activities where kids and adults alike can treat cabin fever, to a list of New Year's Eve events and even holiday-themed pop-up bars.
So we are at the Christmas Corner Bar at Around the Corner in Lakewood, and this is their holiday Christmas pop-up.
When you walk in, Christmas smacks you square in the face.
What creative decorating. I mean, this is just, I mean, if you're not in the Christmas spirit when you walk in this room, you probably need to go to the doctor.
I agree, and the best part is every year they add more. So they have some specialty cocktails, including some Christmas-themed martinis, which are delicious.
Yeah. What is the vibe here like on an average night through that 6-week stretch?
Oh my gosh, so much fun. There's Christmas karaoke, so you can pick whatever song you want to listen to. They do Christmas-themed trivia as well, so it's always just going to be super bright and holiday.
Bartender Yana Judges is serving up a multitude of holiday beverages, sure to warm you up with the spirit of the season.
Here we have like our naughty and nice shots, so you can order one or the other, get a surprise even. And then our most famous would probably be the Dirty Grinch. It's like kind of like a Girl Scout mint chocolate chip cookie.
The Christmas Corner is the place to celebrate and check off the bucket list.
So it's always just going to be super bright and holiday.
All right, the Christmas Corner at Around the Corner in Lakewood is open now. And I'll tell you this, as beautiful as it looks on camera, it is even better when you're there in person. It attacks your visual sense. For a link to their social media accounts, you can head to our website, wkyc.com. And we've also posted a link at that same spot to the Cleveland bucket list. That way you can go check it out for yourself, see what you want to do, maybe some other things you want to leave out, but it is a lot of fun to look at. And be sure to tune in to What's New tomorrow and Thursday. We're going to have more things that we recommend you see and do from that Cleveland bucket list. It's pretty cool, really. Okay, still ahead, another popular event is being postponed due to COVID concerns. What you need to know if you have tickets to the boat show. Then, I got to surprise a very deserving young lady and her family with Christmas gifts yesterday. It was very special. We're going to tell you about the incredible organization that made it all possible. It's coming up in our Show Us Something Good.
Hello, Al. Checking what's clicking in Cleveland. This is my mic check about the boat show, and it's postponed but not canceled. Okay. Good? Okay. Mic check. This is what's clicking in Cleveland. The boat show is not... Okay, good. Me too. What a great idea.
Oh, well, it's time now to see what's clicking in Cleveland, and for that, we bring in that gal you just heard. Yep, Stephanie, it is time. You're a homer this week too, huh, girlfriend?
I am. I think what you probably just heard was me realizing my camera went topsy-turvy like we were messing with Jay with your frames at your house.
Isn't it fun?
We will get,
Super
though,
fun.
to what
Yeah.
is clicking. Yeah.
It is fun. And today we start with some good news because it's not a cancellation, it is a postponement though. The Cleveland Boat Show will be put off. It's the 65th annual Progressive Cleveland Boat Show that will now take place in March. The boat show was originally scheduled to take place in January at the IX Center. Advance tickets that were purchased for the January show dates will be honored though for those rescheduled dates in March of 2022, so don't worry about that. And there are two guys who will literally get to shoot their shot with the Cleveland Cavaliers coming up here this week. One of them is Luke Cornett. Here he is as a kid with his excited sister Nicole shouting him out after he was just signed from the Maine Celtics in the NBA's G League. Justin Anderson will also now be a part of the team, called up from the G League's Mad Ants in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Cornett and Anderson get a shot because the Cavs have 7 guys in COVID protocols right now, including Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and Isaac Okoro. The next Cavs game is Wednesday night in Boston against the Celtics. And with the COVID cases going around right now, testing is more important than ever. And if you take an at-home test and you do get a positive result, it's important to report that to your local health department. In Cuyahoga County, you can do that by emailing dataentry1@cbh.net. You see it there on your screen. You have to include your name, address, phone number, date of birth, race, and ethnicity, plus the date and the time you tested positive and what type of test you used. If you leave anything out, your case will not be counted, so that's very important to keep that in mind. And this is a new system, Betsy. The Cuyahoga County Board of Health just put this in place last week, so they do tell me it's possible that it could change, but for now, this is the process, in Cuyahoga County at least.
Man, it is so confusing, but you gotta get it done. All right, Stephanie, thanks so much. Jay?
Well, Betsy, next I had the honor of surprising a local family with Christmas gifts yesterday. We're going to share Riley's story and information about the organization dedicated to making sure kids with special needs get a special Christmas.
Hey, mic check, 1, 2, 3. Laura Queso's mic check, 1, 2, 3. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Russ Mitchell. Thank you.
Yeah, do you hear me? Hi, good evening, and thanks for being with us. I'm Russ Mitchell, and I'm Laura Queso.
Hey there. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brandon's microphone. We're talking about a COVID testing site had to shut down.
Like gives them. Mic check, yeah, Dr. Hoyen also mentioned that in addition to kids experiencing the acute effects of COVID, thank you.
Check 1, 2, 3. Brandon's microphone. COVID testing site registration has been paused.
Yeah, the president said some new testing sites and vaccination clinics. You got it. Thank you.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, COVID.
Yesterday, I had a really cool opportunity to make a family's Christmas just a little bit brighter. I visited the Honeycutt family in Cleveland. What a special family. 16-year-old Riley is very special. She has a big heart and lives with cerebral palsy. Thanks to a Special Wish Foundation in Cleveland, we unloaded a trunk full of gifts for Riley and her brother Hudson. A Special Wish Cleveland previously granted Riley's wish to go to Disney. Yesterday, her mom told me how thankful she is that the organizations keep reaching out to help her family.
They see families like ours, and they see our daughter and other kids like her, and yeah, it's just they've been a huge blessing to us.
What was it like seeing Riley at Disney?
Well, I think all your dreams came true at Disney World, didn't they? Riley's main goal, I think, was to meet all the princesses.
Go into making all of it happen. Riley said her favorite part of Disney was meeting Elsa on her birthday. And later in the week, we're going to have much more from this very special family. Made my day yesterday, and I hope it made theirs as well. We're out of time. Thanks so much for watching What's New. We're back tomorrow at 5, and we hope to see you then.
What Matters Most with Russ and Laura starts right now.
Now at 6, testing chaos. People turned away after waiting hours in line as demand spikes on the first day of the free COVID testing site. We're live with the latest. 500 million free rapid tests on the way.
We aren't as vaccinated as a country as we should be, though. We're setting up our vaccination and booster effort.